Hi, so welcome back to another episode on Noah's Ark. Today we're going to talk about how to prepare your files for stem mastering. So this content is really taken from the book by Bob Katz called Mastering Audio, the Art and the Science. And so he describes a way to do stems that is kind of an industry standard now, which is called the Gang of Four. So I'm going to show you how you can do the Gang of Four in any DAW, but in my case it's going to be in Pro Tools. So what is the Gang of Four? So sometimes when you want to master your tracks, you want the mastering engineer to have a bit more flexibility, a bit more ability to mix after the fact your track. So if you send a stereo file, the mastering engineer can only work on that stereo file and not the individual elements. So there's a kind of a standard of 4 different stems that you can send so that the mastering engineer has a bit more flexibility but doesn't need to kind of tweak all the individual elements. So the 4 stems are the following. So you have the lead vocal stem, which is only the lead vocal in stereo with the reverb and effects applied to it so that it's already wet and already ready to be incorporated back into the mix as is. And the reason it's stereo, even though maybe the vocals in mono, is that the pan law is going to be kept and mastering engineer doesn't need to readjust levels. So lead vocal stem, then you have the TV stem. So TV stem is basically the full mix without the lead vocals. So why is that? So TV stem comes from the fact that on TV you often have performers that will re-sing their songs live, but they still need the instrumental behind the backing track and also the backing vocals. So the TV mix is essentially the instrumental version with some backing vocals without the lead vocals. So that's a TV stem. And so the third stem is called the instrumental stem. Instrumental stem is no lead vocals and no backing vocals, only instruments. And the fourth stem is going to be the full mix, so your general final mix, let's say. So having those 4 stems, so the lead vocal stem, the TV stem, the instrumental stem, and the full mix allows the mastering engineer to virtually do anything they want. So for example, if they want to reconstruct the full mix, they can take the lead vocal stem and the TV stem, and then they have the full mix, and they can adjust the level of these 2 stems to adjust the level of the vocals, for example. If they need to adjust the level of the backing vocals, for example, they can take the TV stem, subtract the instrumental stem, and that gives them only the backing vocals, and they can adjust the level for that as well. So there's a lot of combinations they can use to actually, adjust the levels. So this method is much more, foolproof than actually sending mixes with vocal ups, vocal downs, because then the mastering engineer can really get the optimal level for that track. Okay, so let me show you how we can do the Gang of 4 stems really easily in Pro Tools or in any DAW, in fact. So here I've got a session from live performance from a band, from a friend of mine, and it's kind of like a rock band type session. So we've got obviously all the drum kit elements going into the drums submix, then bass elements going into the bass sub, and guitars here going into the guitar sub, vocals, lead vocals into the Vox sub, and then the BVs, the background vocals or backing vocals, into the BV sub. So when we have a session like this that's nicely separated, it's going to be much easier to do the Gang of 4 like this. And obviously we have the effects, returns, and then the mix bus, final mix bus. So one thing to note is that if you have some heavy mix bus processing, then the Gang of 4 obviously will not have exactly the same output as the full mix because the compressor will react differently if you mute some elements and remove some elements and do the sum afterwards. So if you do some heavy processing, this may not work as well, but most people I think have really soft compression that kind of glues the mix together on the mix bus. So it's not that much of a big deal. Let's start by doing the full mix stem. So this is just bouncing the full mix basically, really straightforward. So bounce, then let's call it full mix. Bam. you have one stem. I'm not going to bounce this because I've already done this, but that should take you a couple of minutes. And then let's do a TV mix first. So TV stem is everything without the lead vocals. So we just mute the sub mix for the vocals coming in, and then that's it, bounce again. So let's call this TV stem. All right, so bounce this again. Then let's do the instrumental. So instrumental is everything without lead vocals nor background vocals. So we mute the BV sub, Vox sub as well, keep it muted, bounce. Instrumental stem, we call it. Done. Okay, so we have 3 stems already, and then the last stem is just the lead vocals. So let's mute everything except the mute vocals. So drums muted, bass muted, guitars muted, BVs muted, lead vocal only. Then bounce, and then here we call this lead vocal stem. Done. And obviously if you have offline bounce, it's going to take much less time, and I think most DAW have that feature nowadays, but that's quickly how you can do the Gang of 4 stems. So that's it. That's how you prepare stems for mastering, and using the Gang of 4 technique described in Bob Katz's book. So I really suggest you check out this book because I've learned a lot of things from him, and this book is really a great resource for anyone working in the music industry, especially in the engineering side, I'd say, and really goes in depth into a lot of topics. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, comment, the usual, and see you next time.